Joining us now, Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania. He's also the author of the new memoir, Unfettered. Senator, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I know you were not a fan of this shutdown. You never wanted it to happen. What would you have done differently to try to get any leverage on the issue of ACA subsidies?
Well, the ultimate leverage is winning election. I mean, we've just demonstrated that just last week about that. That was an amazing election, and it demonstrates that our country is rejecting the kind of mass chaos that we've been witnessing since the president was reelected right now. And that's, for me, I think as Democrats, when you face the kinds of chaos the way we have, I think we should respond with order and logic and make our argument. And we did that. And we actually beat the brakes off of them over on Tuesday.
One way to read those election wins, though, were people who were cheering the Democrats on for the shutdown. I mean, Virginia specifically, lots of federal workers, lots of furloughed workers. They voted overwhelmingly for Abigail Spanberger for governor and for the Democrats down the tickets. What do you say to the argument that is being made that those elections and the blue wave from it was a message to the Democratic Party to keep on fighting, to hold out?
What I think is that I was unwilling to put 42 million Americans with mass food insecurity as we're approaching Thanksgiving. I mean, that's a risk that I was unwilling to take. I mean, that's front and center for me. And I absolutely think we should have pay everybody for their work as well. They're going 5 weeks without able to, they had to borrow almost $500 million now just to pay their own bills from their credit union. And now we continue to make flying less and less safe. Undeniably, that was very chaotic as well, too. That's the wrong approach because I've voted every single time and I strongly support to extend those tax credits. We can agree on those things, and that might be the wrong tactic. It wasn't that long ago that we were the Democratic Party that it's always, always wrong to shut our government down.
Yeah, both parties have gone back and forth on that messaging over the years, depending on when it suits them. What is your message, though, to an American who's going to lose their health care or is going to find their health care so expensive that they're going to have to cut costs elsewhere? That we just had a man from Florida, no, not your constituent, but an American from Florida, whose premium is going to go up 113%. He says he feels abandoned, not by the Republicans, but by the Democratic Party.
Well, I absolutely vote and support to extend those things. And, perhaps I disagree with some of my colleagues that the wrong tactic to shut our government down and to plunge 42 million Americans for mass food insecurity. That's a terrible choice, without a doubt. But for me, that's the wrong tactic. And now, if we really want to shut our government down, we will have that opportunity in January. And we have the opportunity now to find a way forward to establish these tax credits. And now reminding people that we need to buy in from the Republicans to do that. And I do believe that will impact enough of their constituents, and they realize that that's a smart thing to do, because that's why I believe it is a way forward for it. But it's certainly not a guarantee, but it's certainly no one was getting either thing where their government was currently shut down.
I think it's a valid point to say that in order to do the things you want to do, you got to win elections. The Republicans won the last big election. They control the House, they control the Senate, they control the presidency. And so you have to negotiate and compromise with the Republicans. But the Republicans don't seem to want to negotiate or compromise at all with the Democrats, even in the Senate, where they have to in order to pass legislation, to get past the filibuster. So how do you work with a party that does not want to work with you?
Well, I mean, you continue to confront them to do that. And we have worked together on some things. And I do fundamentally believe, though, that where we are right now, we are at a disadvantage. And now, when we were in the majority, we actually wrote and developed these tax credits, and we designed them to expire at the end of this year. That wasn't the Republicans. That was our party to design that. And now we were forced to have to renegotiate, and we've lost the majority, as we all know, that happened last year. So that's the way our democracy operates. And now we all, the Democrats, have realized we were all committed to eliminate our filibuster, and now we have relied on that to hold the line here now too. So now things keep shifting. But for me, I absolutely I return to this idea of facing mass chaos. I want to respond to order, logic, and making a better argument to win the next election. That's going to be about a year ago, and now refusing to turn our back or put people in flux. For me, that's one of the people I fight for. We're the 42 million Americans that depend on SNAP. As a member on the Ag Committee, and my wife actually has devoted her professional life to fighting food insecurity. So near and dear for me, but it's a lot more dear to people that depend on SNAP to feed themselves and their family.
The Democratic Party is trying to figure out what it should be for the next elections for 2026, for 2028. There's going to be individual elections, obviously, in 2026, but the party's going to have some unified message for 2028. There's a fight between progressives and moderates. Do you take a side on this, and do you think one is better than the other?
I don't think dem-on-dem violence or whatever. I know the media loves it, but I think it's very unhelpful to unify our party. And I think if we should be a big party, big tent one, as a committed Democrat as I am, that voted 90% of the Democratic line. So if I frustrated some people, I mean, I understand, and certainly don't enjoy that, but I'm following values. But as a committed Democrat, we must allow our party to have this kinds of discussions without resorting to calling people names, and that's just not helpful at this point.
What do you think of the leadership of Chuck Schumer?
Right now, we did the right thing back in March. And I wondered if I might be the only Democrat, because I understood that our base really was committed to try to do something, anything at that point to push back. But I think, sure, absolutely. Shutting our government down it's just fundamentally wrong. The guaranteed loser is America and the people that are touched directly by those things. And now for his leadership, absolutely, I know he's under siege, but I'm not going to pile on right now. It's like, he's our leader, and he's committed, and he followed this through, but it's ran its course. And now we have the opportunity to develop, our proposal and sell these kinds of tax credits to America to convince the Republicans to buy in. And now we would have the other opportunity to shut our government down in January. And I'll be there. Is he the man
for the moment? There are folks out there arguing that there's a generational problem with the Democratic Party and that it is time for younger lawmakers. It's time for younger leaders. Those are the people that are more in touch with the sentiment of Democrats across the country. Those are the ones that can better represent Americans going forward. Do you see that as an issue?
It shouldn't be an issue. I mean, how old is Roy Cooper?
I don't know off the top of my head, sir.
Yeah, well, he's about 74, 73 or whatever. It's like, if you have a problem with 70-year-olds people, I mean, that's ageist, but regardless, he's the guy that's going to flip that seat. You have a problem with 70s, take an issue with the guy that's going to win the seat. Or look at Bernie. Bernie's very, very old, and I don't see people criticizing Bernie for his age right now. I think it seems to be incompatible here. I don't care what your age is. It's like, we're all part of the Democratic Party. And now, attacking people based on their age, it's bizarre, and it's profoundly unhelpful. And we need to be better than that.
Roy Cooper is 68
and I'm
years
sorry,
old.
Also, by the way, Sherrod Brown, he's in his 70s. He's the guy that has a chance to flip Ohio. Let's start a war on dudes and women that are in their 70s. That's not the problem. They're the kind of people that can flip those seats right now, and that makes it better for Democrats everywhere.
All right, Senator Fetterman, thank you very much for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be back. Hey, have me back. I miss MSNBC. They stopped inviting me. I'm not sure why.
No, that's not true. We always love having you. You can come whenever you want. Just give us a
Yeah,
call.
absolutely.
We'll make some space.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Senator Fetterman, thank you.